Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are going to be discussing a pattern change that could be bringing severe weather to the Midwest and Southern Ontario. Now, let's start talking about the jet stream. So, the jet stream is fast-moving air up in the atmosphere, and that's really what causes most of our severe weather. So, as we can see, we're going to have a little bit of a rise in the jet stream here, and that rise is what we like to call a ridge. Now, ridges are high pressures, they build air they build warm air, and it's the exact opposite of a trough. A trough is digging, and a ridge is rising. So a trough usually brings cold air, low pressure systems, which is what we like to see for tornadoes and severe thunderstorms. Now we're going to be looking at the lower level winds. These winds are usually about 1 kilometer above the ground, but you can see that here in geopotential height in meters above sea level. So each one of these, I know they're not isobars, there's a special name for them, but each one of these black lines indicates a certain level above sea level where the 850 millibar winds are. So usually about a kilometer above the ground, maybe a kilometer and a half. So now we're going to see that there is very strong winds in the Midwest and Ohio regions, and that is also going to be angled at Southern Ontario. Now, these lower level winds are what we like to call the lower level jet. Now, the lower level jet is very crucial for tornado genesis. It is one of the main things. If you don't have a good lower level jet, then you don't have tornadoes. That's kind of how it works. As you can see here in these reds all up in this region, that is going to be very strong and favorable winds for supercells and tornadoes. And we even have a little bit of pink here, which is going to be indicative of 70 knots of flow. Now let's talk about the Cape. Cape is also known as instability or tornado juice, as some people call it. However, it's really just how much energy is in the atmosphere. So if a storm forms, how much energy does it have? And as we see, the system has a lot of Cape coming with it and into Ontario and Ohio. See, up in Ontario, we're going to be expecting around 700 joules per kilogram with this system. This could uptrend or downtrend because, it is very far out. I can't stress enough how far out this is. This is a trend. So, as I was talking about before, we got Cape moving into southern Ontario, around 700 joules per kilogram here in these light pinks, and even down here, I think we have upwards of 800. This is definitely favorable for thunderstorms. However, down here is way better. Usually for tornadoes, you like to see around 1,000 joules per kilogram to 2,000 joules per kilogram. Anything higher becomes too explosive of thunderstorm development, and any lower, it's a question if they'll fire at all. Now, as we progress it on, you can see the time up there in Zulu. So 18Z is around 1 o'clock Eastern time, I do believe. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. I still don't know it. But you can definitely see that there is a little bit of thunderstorm energy here for these storms to pick up when they fire. Alrighty, it's winter. You knew it was coming. We cannot have a video in winter without talking about the temperatures. So let's dive right into it. We've got a trough coming in, as I mentioned earlier, which is going to bring tons of cold air down, and we're looking at around 18 degrees Fahrenheit, around that area there. And it's going to stay for a little bit until another low pressure system comes in, and it's just going to help pull up more of this moisture and warm air from this ridge that is built in. So that's the first ridge that I was talking about, and here's the second. It's kind of the same ridge. It's called the Bermuda High. It sort of just sits around there. Sometimes it goes in, it comes out. And then we have this trough, the trough coming in with the low pressure system over here. And that's going to bring up tons more moisture and high temperatures into our area. The temperatures that we're going to be expecting for highs is going to be around the mid to upper 50s. And even the low 60s in some areas. If I were to zoom in just a tad bit more, we can get a little bit more accurate with this. And yeah, you can see here it gets, sorry, let's rewind all the way back. Cold, really cold. We don't like this. It's going to stick around for a while, but then we got that ridge building in. This ridge is going to make it just a little bit warmer. I think that's 4-ish degrees. Yeah, about 4 degrees Celsius. And then we're going to see a low pressure system come in, which is being aided with the ridge to help push a little bit more warm temperatures in, but still not enough to help us. And then some cold temperatures. But right here, we have a very strong low pressure. I think that's a 985 millibar low right there. Yeah, 985. That is really strong. And it is going to be bringing tons of moisture and temperature into the southern Ontario region, Ohio Valley, and all of that. So that temperature is also going to help with thunderstorm development if this model run does play out. Remember, that is a big if, because we can do our best by looking at the ensembles here. If I were to, we can do our best by looking at the ensembles, and the ensembles do show a trough negatively tilted shortwave, just like the control model showed. It does have this ridge and then trough, and then a embedded shortwave in the trough. However, it has a little bit further south, but there's this feature here called show previous models, or show previous runs. Let's see. Where is this? Hold on for just a second. Where's the show previous runs? Well, okay, I could just show you the previous run here. So the previous run also shows it. It just shows it a little bit lacking behind, and the run before that also shows it. The run before that also shows it, and you get the point. The run also shows it. But notice how every run, as it progresses closer and closer to today, it gets slightly... Oh, I did that wrong. Sorry. It gets slightly closer to the Ohio Valley. Let's try comparing this with some other models. This is the European model. I love this model. It is very accurate most of the time, and it shows more or less the same. A little ridge building in and a giant trough coming in through the area. However, the European model takes it just a little bit more south, so that there'll be more of like a snowstorm threat rather than a severe weather threat. But it still shows some severe weather threat nonetheless, just it's not in my preferred area. Alright, so now we're going to be talking about something called Supercell Composite. What this is it analyzes the models for you, basically. It takes all of the ingredients in the atmosphere and it tells you how favorable the environment is for supercells. Just a reminder, supercell is a rotating thunderstorm, so they're basically what causes tornadoes. Of course, there's other ways that tornadoes can form, but they're the main reason why tornadoes form is underneath a supercell. So, as you can see, we have a little bit in Oklahoma, and that's basically just going to make its way all the way up here, and it's going to move like this. Now, of course, it's going to get a little bit weaker as it moves there, so we're going to progress it, and you can see it gets a little bit weaker on this specific model run. It gets a little weaker. We're also going to look at the ensembles after this so that we can show you what's probably going to happen, because let me tell you, the 12Z GFS is going like all hell breaks loose on this model. Anyways, we progress it to the day that we're mainly focusing on, and that is going to be Wednesday, the 28th, and we're going to see a Supercell Composite is sneaking its way into Southern Ontario, which is what I like to see. I personally haven't seen Supercell Composite in February in Ontario ever, so it's a really cool thing for me, because we usually don't get anything until around April. We got some in March last year, I believe, but it was really April that stuff starts to kick off. Alright, so I gotta remind myself it's February, we gotta do this. Even though I hate snow, we're gonna talk about it. So, if you're a snow lover, you're gonna love this. We got a low pressure system coming down here at around Friday, February the 23rd, and it's gonna be bringing with it a cold front, and that cold front is going to have snow squalls with it. Now, these snow squalls probably won't be that intense, but what's more dangerous behind it is this cold air that we all hate. Everybody hates cold air. But people that like snow, nobody likes the cold. So, anyways, let's progress this model further, and you're going to see the snow impacts our area here in Southern Ontario. And as you know, everyone's heard this term, lake effect snow. So lake effect snow is this little streamer here. And, you know, lakes are warm, air is cold, means there's a lot of moisture, and snow forms off the lakes. After that, we're going to have probably a little bit more snow, and then we're going to get into the severe weather aspect of it. Anyways, I don't want to go too far out, because after this, it sort of just becomes Fantasyland. The GFS just goes crazy with a blizzard in Ottawa. So not a forecast whatsoever. This is the very end of the run. That's all for today's video. Thank you all for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe for more weather-related content. I will be streaming this year a lot more than I did last year. We're going to be chasing out in the field, catching tornadoes, and broadcasting it live right to you. So subscribe now. It's going to be a good investment. You'll be here before we get big.